have to
Oh,
start off. I promise no hard-hitting questions, but here's one for you. Which is more stressful, pitching for a huge brand or trying to find space for all of your awards on your shelf without it collapsing?
well,
Uh,
obviously the weight,
though, yeah, the sheer
the
weight,
crown is heavy.
yeah, is like the architectural challenges of figuring out a place to live to carry all these awards around is just what can you do? No,
You know, the
and
good
also,
thing about the awards that we've won is that most of the time, like other people keep them. We just like, all
You
right,
guys just accept
it's
them.
on
yeah, it's
somebody's shelf,
like
and that's all
it
that
always
counts.
like goes to the agency, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, it's weird that you guys have a best directing award, like hanging out. Okay.
Well,
It's
I
like,
mean, keeping
can
in
we?
mind all of your success, creatives are usually their own biggest critics, I find. So, flipping the narrative, what's an unofficial or a real award that you think the other one deserves?
Ooh,
What
that's
I
a
think
tough one.
Jamal deserves,
Yeah, give each other some
obviously,
props.
obviously, best dressed always. Best dressed. He's always got like a new thing that I'm just like that everybody in the room is coveting. I'm just like, God damn it. I always think of like that Wedding Crashers note. It's like call attention to yourself, but on your own terms. and, or like call attention to yourself, but in a positive way.
Mhm.
He manages to
uh
do it. He manages to
yeah.
do it, whether it's on his wrist, on his back, or in his mouth. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, the I don't know how I feel about the in his
I'm
mouth
calling
part.
attention to you, but in a not positive way.
Yeah,
Look,
I'll be a
I
little
think
more
that
earnest.
that's not. It sounds like a superficial thing, but it's not. We can get deeper after you talk about me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We need to
No,
reciprocate the love.
I was gonna say
Oh
I'll be a
yeah.
little more earnest. I think Bash is like has a level of keeping focus in a storm that is just like unparalleled. You know what I mean? Like I tend to be the one that like will get spun up and very emotional very quickly, you know, about things. And Bash is the guide, the rudder, the one who keeps us on track and like eye on the prize. And like there's always a thing where I'm like, is this going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, you know? And he's always like, no, we'll just get through it. And I'm like, okay, you know, so it's like steadiest, you know, strongest. I would give him.
I love
That's gonna make
that.
me cry. God damn it! Don't you? I gotta move my camera back.
We can't get the close up of the tears.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are so talented in the way that you're able to blend this like complex storytelling with genuine humor that you guys obviously have. It's so seamless. What's your process for being able to make people laugh and get a story through within the limited time you have for like 30 seconds or less?
Yeah, I think the first part of that is like making each other laugh. Like if we really run kind of our creative process, whether it be for like a film or a commercial, TV show, whatever, it's like a writer's room between the two of us. You know, it's like we'll spend hours just kind of like going over something and just like trying to one up with each other with bits, as you can probably tell already from the way this interview is going. But it's really that, and it's like if we can make one of us laugh, and we're very hard laughs, you know, then we know that it's gonna have a life outside of our little circle, you know.
Yeah, and I think there's something that we picked up on in our career of like working with truly professional, funny people who have made careers of this is a certain kind of allergy to things we've heard before or things that might be stale from overuse or things that are kind of like sitting in the zeitgeist, just kind of being pat back and forth. It's I think both of us are very keen on not going down those roads so that we can keep things fresh, you know?
Hmm.
And sometimes that means pushing in somewhat of a weird, offbeat direction. But I think what makes it commercial is having both of us as guardians of when it's gone too far. You
Okay.
know, with two minds, you can strike the balance of like, okay, I mean, it's sort of like the practice of running bits is dropping a card and then stacking a bunch of cards on each other, and then at some point the Joker is going to come out, and then we're like, okay, cut.
Sure.
And I think you can do that a little more effectively with two minds. It's almost like we're editing in real time, and that's a super helpful process to have uh, with a friend, but then also for the amount of time that we've done, it has sort of seeped into our professional approach to work.
Yeah, and I love that you bring up the collaboration aspect of it. Obviously, it's much different working on something with two minds as opposed to just one. So, how do you guys kind of split the responsibilities on set? Is one of you more visual? Is the other more like performance based? Could you talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, early days it was kind of like that. But it really comes down to like who has the spark of inspiration with the idea first, you know? And because all of it, to Bash's point about being a guardian, it's like when you can wrap your arms around a thing and then defend it, the collaboration points kind of come naturally, you know what I mean? And I think that early on, like I might have been a bit more on the like, we got to use this lens, and Bash was like a bit more on the performance side. But over like 14, 15 years, that all kind of becomes one thing, you know? And you just kind of go. And it's hard for us to separate at this point, you know. It really has become a true partnership. And when you sit back and like think about the evolution, it's different. It's different than when it was in like 2012, 2013, you know.
That's fair, and that's the growth that
Yeah,
comes with it.
Yeah. And I think just being
totally,
more
totally.
mature too, you know,
Mm.
like a lot of it is like maybe we weren't at early stages of our career like as confident in these other skill sets. But when you have a partner there to be able to take reps that are can be almost like practice, or Bash talks a lot about experimentation, that can be experiments. Those experiments eventually turn into just process, and you don't really realize it's happened.
Yeah. I mean, has there been a specific project that has pushed you two out of your comfort zone, and how did it change you as a creative?
I think the movie probably was the first one, right, Bash? We did a film
Yeah.
4 years ago now for SoundCloud called The Day Ones. And it was one of these kind of like new media endeavors where it was like a movie, but it was like an ad agency and a brand was involved, but it was feature length, and it was, had a narrative and all this stuff, and trying to kind of mold our narrative instincts and our cinematic instincts into like a commercial process, but still making a movie was different, you know what I mean? And it was also like the scale of storytelling is very different, you know what I mean? So having to hold something through an hour and a half versus 30 seconds is a different mentality, but it's one that we adapted to very quickly, you know what I mean? And I think that film was successful for a number of reasons, but one of which is because we were able to use our uncomfortability to make something that still felt fresh and new, you know.
Hmm.
Hmm. And then there was the physical component of multiple night shoots in a row uh,
Those are killer.
happening.
Yeah.
Um, also, while the not to dig in too much on the sort of production side of it, but sometimes money needs to be reallocated, and that affects how many days you have to shoot, and you might lose one or two of those days, and then you have to pivot and become inventive. And um, I think our history of having to pivot is one where I don't want to say that we are more comfortable when we have to pivot. Like it's a little uh, uh, disorienting when something is going smooth. That's when both of us are like questioning, like, is this what's happening? you know. Um, but when something is like a little bit off, we're like, bam, we got an answer for it. And whether or not
Yeah.
that kind of like materializes in the way that we imagined is less less of the issue, as much as we're ready to attack it. But I don't know that we were completely prepared for the physical demand that losing those days was going to how that was going to affect us.
Yeah.
So that was another sort of way that it kind of became a different thing. But we got to drive home watching the sun come up a couple times, and that was pretty.
Hey, look at the positives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you guys bring up the film though, because it was very groundbreaking the way that it has all of these different forms of media mixed into one. So I'm wondering, could we see another film from you guys? Is that what you want to go down further? And what's a genre that you would specifically like to tap into?
Yeah, I mean we have some things in development right now that we're really excited about. Nothing we can like talk about publicly, but the you will see another film from us soon. I think that like all of our stuff, we like to lead with the joy and the comedy. And I would, if I were a betting man, which I am, say that that first or next film is going to be something that's comedic in tone, but still very grounded and still brings that kind of like whimsy and fun that you see in our commercial work and our TV work, you know.
Say there was a thing that came out a couple years ago that I was jealous that I didn't get to see or advise on, but it was like Point Break the musical, and I was like, yeah, baby, that kind of shit is we need more of that. Like, I'm gonna get you, sucker, the musical. That's those things like coming back into the universe, because I think when we think of exploring IP, it's always something big and fantastical. But it would be nice to just kind of go back and make the stuff from childhood that like inspired you,
Yeah.
and do a little genre bending.
Yeah, I think that like our generation is so rooted in nostalgia, like it's
Mm.
like a safety blanket that we kind of wrap ourselves in creatively, you know? I think if you even look at a lot of the filmmakers that we admire, like they wear those references very like proudly on their sleeve, and that's a form of kind of like comfort and nostalgia. Um, and a lot of our work leans to that. It's like the movies that we would rent, on a Friday night from Blockbuster and like sit down with like the Bigfoot pizza and our family and like have these things that like brought these feelings out. I think we're always chasing that, and want to get back to that point where like, the heyday of VHS and DVD in the 90s and early 2000s, it's like you just had so much originality and so much like thought, and it just felt like you could go out and as a filmmaker like do anything. And it's like I I know that personally I'm chasing that feeling. And I think like you'll see in a lot of our work and the stuff that we're developing, it has that spirit.
Definitely. I feel like you guys are reading my mind because that perfectly ties into my last question for you guys. If you had to go back and you could work on or remake any of your like childhood classic favorites, what would it be and what type of spin would you want to put on it?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Like I feel like the easy answer for me is like Roger Rabbit. Like that's such a like Rosetta Stone and like where my kind of like sense of humor and like mixing of like effects and comedy and like still this like grounded reality in a situation that's absolutely not grounded in any way, shape, or form. Um, and just like wanting to to get behind the mind of like who thought that up. You know what I mean? I think just like being a fly on the wall to see that process is something that, like even as a kid, I would like pour over those like Premiere magazine articles of like this is a behind the scenes snapshot of like what they did and shit like that, that just like that's what made me want to make movies in the first place, and it's just it's exciting to think about like putting yourself in that place and on that set.
Yeah, yeah. My mind kind of it always goes back to uh like I always wonder like what our zombie film would be, you know? Like, and I think we're always talking about there's one for everybody. Everybody should get to make one, just to kind of speak to what angle they're going to take from it. But when I was a kid, the first one, and this wasn't exactly as a zombie film, it was more of a reanimating of the human body kind of vibe. So it didn't go complete zombie, but it's called Serpent in the Rainbow. And these sort of British anthropologists sort of go down to Haiti to find this kind of witch doctor sort of putting this powder into people that kind of reanimates human. But like the idea of redoing something like that and having it tie back to you know Haitian independence and everything that's going on there now is uh, exciting, and I think that when you're working in genre, there's a lot of opportunity to speak to those issues in a way that's entertaining, that people don't immediately get exhausted by the realities of the traumas that we experience in them. So yeah,
I love that you guys bring such different vibes to the ideas. I mean, I'd be here for both of them. So if you ever want to make them in the future, I'll be there.
awesome,
But thank you so much for your time. And again, I can't wait to see what the future holds for you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for the
awesome.
conversation. This was really fun.